December the 31st, 7/25. This is going to be the squirrel hunting talk of the day. For you people that are interested in watching videos like this and hearing what I have to say. So I've been playing around shooting squirrels since 1972. Okay, and you know what year we're fixing to be in? 2025. Now, there's different rimfire weapons some states allow, and even air rifles, to shoot squirrels. I put a video up yesterday. It's sort of long. Now, I showed some stuff in that video that I typically don't show, meaning I showed some pretty extended video clips of squirrels that I never even got to execute a shot on. Okay? But I did that for a reason. What that video shows is clearly what a hunter may face in the wild. Meaning, oh yeah, I bagged 9 squirrels, but it wasn't just going out there going boom, 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 boom. Okay, it happens though. You can go out sometimes and kill 9 or 10 squirrels in short order. With leaves off though, that's probably the exception, not the rule. Okay. Now, when you're out, if you decide you want to become a marksman with your rifle squirrel hunting, and it doesn't matter what you decide to use that's legal to do, you need to be perusing your terrain, or you need to be studying it as you're looking at it. Level ground. You ever notice on level ground? Everything between you and that squirrel, if he is on the ground to just a foot or two above the ground, everything is in your line of sight between you and that squirrel. Every bush, if he's on the ground, about anything can be in your line of sight, obstructing your view and obstructing your shot. The squirrel doesn't always just sit still for extended periods of time. Okay? And as such, that could even make it hard for you to determine the range of that squirrel, even if you have a laser rangefinder. But you may be allowed to hit the laser on a tree that's protruding higher up above the foliage, tree limbs, weeds, briars between you and the actual line of sight to the squirrel. So it helps. If you'll notice, if you watch that video, I was above those 2 longer shots yesterday. Notice that I was above them. I was above the plane of those squirrels, shooting down. Well, that takes all that stuff in between me, since I'm shooting down. It takes a lot of that stuff out of the way. Okay, plus the land had a roll to it. Okay, so it's sort of like a catbird's view. Well, we can sort of say the same thing about a squirrel that's elevated and leaves off too, can't we? When the squirrel is elevated up in a tree, say 15 feet, a lot of the foliage and stuff is taken out of play, but the squirrel is causing that because he went up in the tree. But now hunting land that protrudes above you, that would mean the squirrel wouldn't have to go so high in the tree to get above the foliage, the tree limbs, and the briars. So that's an advantage to hunting on rolling land. It goes, up and down. But you as the shooter, you need to study on those places to where you have your best vantage point. Where can you see the most acreage? All right? And if you've got a gun that will reach this acreage, like a 17 HM2 or a 17 HMR, or maybe that other rimfire, but that thing's a little big for squirrels, if you ask me. I think they call it a BMAG or something. That's what it can do for you. So you get to play more off of the squirrels. You get to let the terrain help you in seeing the squirrels, as well as being able to execute a shot without the shot being blinded by more tree limbs, briars, shorter weeds, okay? Now, here's the other thing to take note of. Now, look, I'm just one person, and I've been at this a while, and I use a short Primus trigger stick. And I don't use a HMR, I use a HM2. All right. Your body's posture when shooting, now, you know, I could shoot at a squirrel and be twisted up in all kinds of directions. You know, the question is how good will I execute the shot? You know, I don't like to shoot at squirrels and generally miss them. So I don't like taking what I would call real questionable shots. Okay. So your body's posture makes a difference. And that comes back into what I talked about earlier. You should be looking for places where, like, I like to look for places where I can sit and my body is level to slightly pointed down, and if I have to, where it's slightly pointing up, but I don't like that so much. I'd rather be level to where I'm shooting slightly down, where my back is going forward slightly, okay? It's tougher for me to make longer shots sitting on the ground with that Primus stick if I'm leaned back a little bit in my posture. So that's something for you to consider when you're out too. Find your spots. If it's land that you hunt on a regular basis year to year, you know, find your stakeout spots. And then you become, you know, where you can shoot longer distances and be successful. That's going to help your quarry harvest. Now, let me bring this up in this video too, you know, because this always gets talked about, you know, and I'm a common sense person. Okay, this Voodoo company makes some damn good 22 long rifles. This Bagara, I guess the way you pronounce it, makes some too now. There may be some other kind. Shoots still makes good rifles. And you'll hear this talked about. Oh, one of those 22s is more accurate than a 17 HM2. Well, that word accurate gets thrown around quite a bit. Okay, if we're talking about paper at fixed distance, that's probably true. Okay. Paper at fixed distance is probably true. But what does that mean? That means you know the distance. Okay. Well, when you're out in the wild with a squirrel, you don't always know the exact distance. And if you watch that video I did yesterday, you'll see them squirrels are out there. Some of them are starting off at like 95 yards, and they're going around the side of the hill. When I execute the shot, they might have been at 91 or 92 yards based on my laser. Well, 3 yards at that distance. 3 yards. Meaning a squirrel that's really at 93 yards. And you hold the gun for 90 yards. Try that with a 22 long rifle. Look at the ballistics data on paper, comparing. Even a 17 HMR is going to be a little better than an HM2. But an HMR makes too much noise for me. And it's not necessary for what I try to do. I've used HMR. A 22 long rifle can't keep up. Meaning if you're out there in the wild and a squirrel is out there at, let's say he's at 89 yards and he moves just a mere 3 yards on your ass, and you've got him in the scope. Now you've got to execute a shot. So you have to know, first off, that he was 89 yards to start with, if you're not going to laser anymore. And then when you get ready to shoot the shot, he's 91 yards or 93 yards. And you have to know how far he moved. So if you didn't laser, you're going to be guessing at how far he moved. Well, I do that too with an HM2. The difference is significant, okay, when you're talking about the actual bullet impact. You know, you go from 1 to 2/10 of an inch with the HM2, and you start getting into 0.4s to 0.6s with a 22 long rifle. Now, you can zero one of those 22 long rifles at longer distance, like 75 yards, that will help some, but, you know, a close shot, you'd have to be on guard with that gun. I like the HM2. Now, I'm shooting mine right now with a 45-yard zero, okay? I may change that a little bit. So in the wild, yeah, on paper, the 22 long rifle on some of these real nice platforms with a real nice ammo are more accurate. But that term applied to the wild when leaves off shooting squirrels, it doesn't really apply so much in the actual executing a shot in the wild, because you've only got so much time. You can't be sitting there lasering a squirrel well, watch that video and watch what those squirrels are doing. The ranges on some of them two of them squirrels is changing significantly on the 2 that I harvested at over 90 yards, okay? And that HM2's trajectory is one reason I was able to do that. All right. But yeah, I'd say you get one of those voodoo rifles and we go to paper on a calm day at 100 yards, it'll wear my damn HM2 rifle out. But I couldn't have done what I did with that voodoo yesterday. And I'm just using voodoo here in this video. Don't get me wrong, but there's some other good platforms out there now, okay, that are shooting very good based on results that I'm seeing posted, okay? I see a trend, okay? I don't never believe one person. Now, here's something else I'll close this video out with. You know, nobody has ever pointed me to this, and I've never seen it. And, you know, now there's other trigger cams. Mine is called a trigger cam, okay? I use that term trigger cam, and that's the name of it. But where's the other people out there with videos showing what I'm showing with that gun? A 17 HM2 or even a 17 HMR on them squirrels. I've not seen one. You know, somebody that goes out and starts launching them longer range shots. Well, anyway, that's going to conclude the video. The squirrel hunting talk of the day.